My name's Carl, and I'm joined by Dave Raboy of the Claremont Institute and Late Republic Nonsense on Substack. Dave, it's a real pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be here. Been wanting to do this forever, and
Same
I finally
here.
got the chance.
Same here. I've been following you for quite some time, and if anyone doesn't follow Dave on Twitter, then you're missing out on all I can describe as barbaric savagery against left-wingers. You can look smug about that. That's
All right.
You know, that's a compliment. Polite barbaric savagery, sometimes. But anyway, no, it's lovely to have you here because
At least my parents don't read it, so I can get away with a lot more.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy Twitter, because my parents didn't use it. Have you been following what Elon Musk has been doing?
Yeah, I mean, you see on Twitter, you just
How can you not, right?
open it up, and you're like, wow, this guy's on fire.
Yes, he is. He's been going absolutely mad, and so the hashtag ElonGate has been
Beautiful.
trending in regards to an alleged sex scandal.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the sex scandal I didn't follow. I just saw the news, and
We'll
I
get
just
into
thought,
it.
okay,
Don't
yeah,
worry,
yeah.
I've got all the information.
Let me know. But look, I mean, I'm a fan. People say that he got to his anti-woke position because he realized that, heck, I won't be able to send, rockets and people into space with a crop of university-educated
Soy boys. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that's true, but whatever it is, I think he's got his mind right.
I think that he does. I think he does have some sort of liberal ideology as well. I think he is. He says he's a free speech absolutist, and I think it's probably true.
Right.
I
He wrote that statement, which was great. And I think, as opposed to almost any other billionaire in his position, he actually wrote that statement.
Yeah.
As opposed to, one of his people wrote it.
And he's really going out on a limb here. And so, but before we go on, I just want to point out that I know how Elon Musk keeps winning. And it's because I did a video on Lotus.com, and if you'd like to support us, you can go and watch this. It's a premium video talking about the secrets of Rousseau. And so this is, I find this fascinating. So Edmund Burke apparently spoke to David Hume, who told him that he had spoken to Jean-Jacques Rousseau when he was in refuge in London after writing a bunch of radical nonsense. And Rousseau had revealed to him what his secrets of being a successful political thinker were. And the secret is you have to present people with marvels and wonders that will fascinate them. And this is what Elon Musk's entire career has been based on. He's very good at self-promotion, very good at making people go, ooh, sending stuff into space, when he sent his car into space, things like this. That's exactly the kind of thing that Rousseau did. But anyway.
Steve Jobs.
Exactly. Yeah,
Steve Jobs,
absolutely.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, good
Some of these
self-promoters,
people.
and but that's exactly it. To present like wonders to the public, they can get invested in, and have an emotional connection to. But anyway, let's begin with going through what Elon's been doing. So he says, if there's ever a scandal about me, please call it Elongate in 2021.
Excellent.
A year ago or so, just over.
Excellent.
Yep. You got your wish there, Elon. So unsurprisingly, this on the 18th of May, Elon tweeted out this. In the past, I voted Democrats because they were mostly the kindness party. Do you agree with that?
No.
I mean, where in the past were they the kindness party?
Well, I was a right.
1860.
Well, I mean, I was a right winger.
1920?
I was a right winger my whole life, or I have been. So I take issue with this, but I understand. Because Elon is about, I think he's a little older than we are.
Yeah.
And the period of the 90s were apolitical for most people.
And they had good branding in the 90s.
They had great branding in the 90s. It was not scary.
No.
In fact, the people who, were made to look scary by the media were the right wingers, who ended up being right about everything.
Unfortunately for them, yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's where it comes from. I mean, he's a child of the 90s.
Yeah. And again, honestly, it's kind of like Donald Trump in a way.
Yes.
Because in the 90s, the order was established, things were set. And like you say, things felt fairly apolitical, which gave them a lot of room to maneuver in ways that seemed like a logical continuation of what was already happening.
Right.
And it made them sound very empathetic. And to the people who didn't realize there was a radical agenda that was challenging the order, underpinning it, they think, oh, yeah, of course I can do this. Of course we can do this. Of course, we know where it led. But anyway, he says, but they've become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer... Again, they've become... It's like, who who's on the side of the Jim Crow laws? Who's on the side?
Well, you cut him some slack for his
I know.
immigrant experience.
I know, but he's obviously talking about the
Sure.
the Dems from the 90s. I'm just thinking, yeah, but that's a very short window of time.
Yes.
Where they weren't an evil party, obviously.
Right. I mean, they were definitely evil in the 20s. They were definitely, they were putting Woodrow Wilson is one of the great villains in American history.
I don't know much about Wilson, actually, I've got to say.
Yeah, well, he was the first real progressive.
Oh, really?
I mean, he was the president of Princeton.
Right.
And he came with, his kind of, scientific socialism.
Oh, really?
And that's where he he was the one who said basically that the founding of America was too limiting.
Is he the one who watched Birth of a Nation?
He was. He was also the one who he resegregated the civil service. Yeah, so they desegregated and then he resegregated the civil service.
But the party of kindness, man. You got to listen.
Yeah.
No, I know. We shouldn't go hard on it, Elon, because we know what he's talking about. He's talking about 90s Democrats when they were the Bill Clinton party. And honestly, right, if they were still that party, I wouldn't have any objection to them, really. There was a lot of things in the 90s Democrat platform that I completely agreed with. Like, they were not, Bill Clinton was like, build a wall. So,
right. So, but there's a great piece that I read this morning in A Tablet, which is I think one of the best websites out there, by Michael Lind, who's great, and it was about the 3 insane ideas that seem to be victorious in the 90s. There was one was trade, another one was interventionist foreign policy, another one was deficits. But I mean the deficits one I'm not that conversant with, but the other 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And we had more than a decade of, at least on the trade issue, more than a decade of open borders. Everything will be great. The economy will, will just. There will be no negative repercussions for the economy.
The neoliberal consensus.
Right. Exactly. The neoliberal consensus, and it's amazing now today that it's falling apart, and I think that's what's causing a great amount of terror on the part of some people we'll talk about later, like David French.
Yeah, I think it's fair to though say that the neoliberal consensus was between both parties.
Yes.
So it's not just the Democrats who are guilty of that.
Yes.
But anyway, so we carrying on with Elon. It says now, but they've become the party of division and hate, and I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. Now watch their dirty tricks campaign against me unfold. Judging by the relentless hate stream from the far left, this tweet was spot on. I've just switched from moderate, and someone just underneath, he says, I've just switched from moderate D to moderate R, and I think many independent voters have done, we'll know the magnitude of this trend in November. I think it's big. So this is interesting because, I mean, no one was asking him to do that, right? He didn't have to make that statement, or at least that's how it appears. And so coming out just, saying, well, look, I think I'm going to vote Republican because the Democrats' cancer, he knows that he's going to get a huge blowback from that.
Sure.
But the question is why? Because the very next day, of course, this allegation came out. Now, I think that Elon Musk got a request from...
For comment, of course.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why the day before, he's like, right, okay, I know what's coming here. I'm voting Republican.
He's not a dumb guy.
And so, but the thing is, he's not a dumb guy. But to the public, it looks very much like he just out of nowhere says, I'm going to vote Republican because I just think Democrats are awful. And then suddenly, you're a sex criminal now, which is, I mean, how far back does that allegation go when it comes to Democrats and notable public figures? Like
well, we don't
Clarence
even
Thomas.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, that was the one that radicalized Andrew Breitbart.
Yeah,
the accusations against Clarence Thomas.
And that was in the late 90s, was it?
That was in the early 90s,
the
very early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've been, and you see exactly the same with Kavanaugh, and these are obviously bunk allegations.
Sure.
And this is yet another bunk allegation, and I mean the allegation isn't even coming from the victim. We'll go through this, right? But this is just obvious Democrat playbook. They've been doing this for years, and it's a really gross smear as well.
Well, this is how Obama got his start too.
Oh, is it?
It's not exactly this, but he and his henchmen sued to get divorce records of his early opponent for the Senate in Illinois released. So of course all this terrible stuff came out about him, and he was forced to withdraw.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, this is standard operating procedure.
Yeah. The character attacks are a primary weapon of the left. And it's not to say that the Republicans, again, don't have their own form of character attacks, but this is a particular kind of character attack that I don't see the Republicans engaging in. And or often, anyway.
Well, they can't.
They can.
They don't have the institutional support.
That's fair.
And I think it happened in 2009 when there was a scandal with Van Jones, who was then working for Obama, and some information came out about him, and it was a controversy that bubbled up from the right wing. It bubbled up from Glenn Beck.
Right. Okay.
And everybody covered it, and Van Jones was forced to resign. He was supposed to be the green energy czar.
Right.
He left the White House in shame, and then immediately everyone in the administration realized, why did we do that?
Yeah. Why do we respond to Republicans?
Right, right. Yeah. So then the media recognized the same thing, and they said, you know what? We're not going to cover any controversy emerging from right-wing media.
Right.
Dead.
Okay. So that's why they
if
don't
you notice,
do it. Right. Okay.
It does not happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I looked at, because I didn't know that, you see, because I was looking at thinking, well, I just don't see the Republicans constantly making these kind of really vile sort of, I mean, that's a really serious allegation morally. And so, I don't see that happening. But I suppose if it is the left-wing consensus in the media where it's like, we don't care, well, that explains it.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, when was the last time a political controversy from the right became prominent in the media? Only to destroy it. Milo?
Yeah, Milo. He had made some comments on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was misconstrued by left-wing media, based on the Lincoln Project's agitation.
Right.
Yes, to say that he was in support of paedophilia. Of course, he's a victim of paedophilia.
Right.
And so Milo but he got cancelled by the right, basically, because of that.
Yes, and that happens with an amazing amount of frequency. The less so now, which is a good development. Yeah.
So anyway, so this is fascinating, right? You said you hadn't looked into this, right? So the look at this headline, right? Go back up to the headline. SpaceX flight attendant said that Elon Musk exposed himself and propositioned her for sex. Documents show the company paid $250,000 for her silence. Now that makes it sound like the victim or the alleged victim is making a direct allegation against Elon Musk.
Right.
That's not true. Right. So this story comes from a friend of the flight attendant, apparently. Right, so according to Decider, the attendant worked as a member of the cabin crew on a contractual basis for SpaceX corporate jet fleet. She accused Musk of exposing his erect penis to her, rubbing her leg without her consent, and offering to buy a horse in exchange for an erotic massage. According to
the horse gambit.
According to interviews and documents obtained by Insider. So in 2016, it's alleged in a declaration signed by a friend of the attendant and prepared in support of her claim. It's like, okay, so the attendant isn't even making the claim. So a friend is claiming that she told her this.
Right.
And that this is now suddenly relevant for some reason. I don't know what Elon Musk has done. I know we know exactly what Elon Musk has done to piss off the left and to gin up this complaint.
Right. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that this may even not be her friend, but it is it's a sneaky way to get around the whatever
lack
the
of
hush money, the $250,000 hush money.
Yeah. So, but either way, the victim themselves are not even alleging this. So, not really. I mean, it's basically Chinese whispers at this point. But they contacted Musk for comment, which is why I think he knew this story was coming, and why I was like, look, I'm voting Republican. But Musk, of course, finally gets to use the term Elongate, which he tweeted out. If you can go to the next one, John, with his own tweet. Finally, we get to use it as a scandal name. It's kind of perfect, and I guess it kind of is. Now, Elon, of course, denies this claim that comes from the friend of the flight attendant. Musk says directly, there's a tweet in there if you want to go down, he characterized the person, he knows apparently who this friend is, although we don't, that hasn't been released to us yet, but he characterized her in a dismissive tweet as, quote, a far left activist / actress in LA with a major political axe to grind.
Sounds about right.
Sounds a dime a dozen in LA,
yeah.
Right? And he, of course, says, for the record, those accusations are utterly untrue, but I have a challenge to this liar who claims their friend saw me exposed. Describe just one thing, anything at all, scars, tattoos, that isn't known by the public. She won't be able to do so because it never happened. So that's quite bold, Elon. I like the fighting spirit.
Yes.
You just come back and go, okay, we'll prove it. You know,
And it's exactly the right messaging. Nothing will deter me from fighting for a good future and your right to free speech.
yes.
And he understands that this is their playbook. I mean, I think he's been red-pilled.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it's absolutely he's been red-pilled.
You can tell by the memes he posts out on Twitter.
Yes, for sure.
Which we'll get to in a second, actually. But you are right. He says, look, you know, this attack should be viewed through a political lens. This is the standard despicable playbook, but nothing will deter me from fighting for a good future and your right to free speech. This is obviously being done in response to him trying to buy Twitter. And he is right. It should be viewed through a political lens because that's exactly what this is. Major political presence on the public stage. Oh, accuse him of some sexual impropriety. He'll be hopefully taken down. But the thing is, like, it doesn't actually work that often for the Democrats, does it? Like, Kavanaugh still got confirmed.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Because people understand that it's just a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
And I saw that they tried the same thing with Hungary yesterday. The Guardian did. You know, Trump sends message to event in Hungary and shares the same, you know, podium with.
We'll
blah,
get
blah,
to
blah,
that
blah.
in a minute.
Okay.
I've got.
Oh,
that.
you've got that
of course
one.
I've
Okay.
got that.
Excellent.
We're not going to let that go. Anyway, like you say, it looks like Elon Musk has been somewhat red-pilled by Twitter. If we can get to the next one, on the very same day, I mean, he posted this meme, which is just
Savage.
For anyone listening, it's a picture of Skeletor in front of a screen saying, "Ladies, mansplaining is short for man explaining." Just amazing.
Look, Donald Trump must be so jealous.
Yes.
He must be burning, you know, with jealousy.
Well, he did claim that he had suggested to Elon Musk that he buy Twitter, which wasn't true, and it's a really weak move. It's like, oh, don't do that.
Right. Well, look, I mean, he is, you know, Elon Musk is a higher IQ, younger, more hip and engaged person who's taking Twitter by storm. Whether or not he owns it, he is the number one Twitter user. I mean, look at the numbers he's
probably got like 90
putting
million
up.
now.
Right.
But anyway, so Elon Musk has also been doing other interesting things, such as going to meet Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. That's a big move.
Yeah, I did not know that.
No. What do you make of it?
Look, I mean, I think it's good. I'm a fan of Bolsonaro.
Yeah, me too.
And wow, he completes transition to supervillain. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. The media has no idea what to do with this. And increasingly we see it in every story.
Yeah.
And I think, look, I mean, that makes the people wake up. It makes them realize that this is all just phony baloney.
To
this
the
is a
credit,
script.
Bolsonaro does look a lot like a supervillain. Like he looks.
But he's our supervillain.
Yes, he's yeah, exactly. He looks somewhat like an alligator that's taken human form. And I say this with great amount of love because I love Bolsonaro's attitude towards leftists, which is like, screw them, you know, and because that's the only attitude you can take now. They're not going to give you any charity whatsoever. So you have to just be like, I don't care. I'm carrying on.
And this is you know, frankly, that's the DeSantis attitude.
Yeah.
That's the Orban attitude.
Yep.
It's in stark relief to the Trump attitude, which was on the surface like that, but in reality he was deeply insecure.
Governed as a moderate.
And right
He's very moderate.
Right. And at the end of the day, he was afraid of the press. He wanted elite press recognition.
Yeah. But I mean, as if he was going to get that.
Never. Right.
I mean, and the thing is, there's something like adorably naive about it.
Yes.
Where it's just like, come on, man, they hate you, you know, and it's only the fact that you know you're doing what people actually want to see done that keeps your popularity at like 45% or whatever it was.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't for that, you'd have been totally destroyed. But anyway, so apparently he went over there to he tweeted out that he wanted to speak specifically about the Amazon and preserving Amazon conservation. Now, one of the main claims that's being made against Bolsonaro is he's opened it up for logging and things like that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't follow this, unfortunately. But he says, super excited to be in Brazil for the launch of Starlink for 19,000 unconnected schools in rural areas and environmental monitoring of the Amazon. So, I mean, how can the left ever say that's bad? Because it's being done by Elon Musk, that's how. But anyway, obviously Bolsonaro is in favor of Elon taking over Twitter, and you can see that this is Elon actually committing to a right-wing position. You know, you can't be an ally of Bolsonaro and be a centrist moderate, I would say.
Right. I mean, it doesn't tell us anything new, but it indicates that he has rejected the cathedral's frame on everything.
And this is even more emphasized when he started going hard against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Let's go to the next one, John, because this is actually quite mad. So Clinton tweeted out, computer scientists have uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. This was a lie. And it happened to be totally wrong. And Elon Musk posted the BBC article talking about Clinton's lawyer who lied to manipulate the FBI over Trump, as you can see from the headline there, and saying, "You are absolutely correct. This tweet is a Clinton campaign hoax, for their campaign lawyer is undergoing a criminal trial." And so the person above had been like, "Well, look, I've reported Clinton's tweet for misleading disinformation to the powers that be at Twitter." And rightly so, because it's an actual lie. Now, there's a lot more to talk about in that particular story. I'm not going to go into now. But what's interesting is that Musk tagged Parag Agrawal and Vijaya, I can't remember the name, saying, well, okay, what do you say to this obvious misinformation? And the answer is, of course, not much. But the point is, if we go to the next one, you can see that Elon Musk is currently out for blood. Absolutely out for blood against them. I think it's next one or a bit further down. I'm not sure.
Makes you wonder how much.
Oh no, yeah, a bit
what
further
else
down.
is fake? Yeah.
Elon is out for blood. Love to see it, and he's like, "Yes, I am indeed out for blood." It's like, okay, so this is a huge, absolutely seismic realignment for Elon's like political outlook, and you love to see it.
It's great.
Like you say, they absolutely love to see it, and so Elon knows that he is courting a very powerful set of interests against him. They are going to range against him to destroy him. And so, unsurprisingly, he's going full Hank Scorpio, it seems, and creating a crack legal team to deal with what is going to be coming his way. And so he's expecting lots and lots of lawsuits, basically. And I think that's how they're going to try and destroy him.
I think being red-pilled on Russiagate is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Because, and it's clear that he has been. And that's because, heck, I've been a right-winger all my life. It red-pilled me. It radicalized me. Understanding that the national security bureaucracy of the United States can be corrupted, and there are no consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that's ridiculous. Half of conservative world, like conservative, mainstream commentariat, throughout Russiagate, they was like, no. Okay, they messed up. No, it wasn't deliberate. No, they would never do this. They're apolitical public servants, and they were in as deep as anything.
But you can see why, because it shakes the foundations of your worldview to be like, right, so actually the non-partisan instruments that are meant to be dedicated to the national interest are in fact partisan political agents who have been systematically attacking their political opponents. That means we're not really very different to somewhere like, an Eastern European country like Ukraine or something like that when it comes to the political issues that we're going to face. That's bad. That's really bad. And so for Elon to come out and be just openly saying, no, it's not even that he's red-pilled on it. He's actively fighting that fight in front of 90 million people.
Yes.
Like, that's massive. And so he knows that big things are coming. And, of course, all of this is costing him huge amounts of money. And this is another thing. Donald Trump, isn't he the only president who lost money in office?
Right.
All of them normally enrich themselves, but Donald Trump lost billions and Elon Musk is losing billions. This is, of course, because stock prices are down because Elon Musk is causing trouble for the establishment. Apparently, he's 25 billion poorer than when he began all of this. Now, that's not much money to Elon Musk.
It'll have to be a slightly smaller island.
Yeah, it will have to be a slightly smaller island. But the point is, you can't say he's doing this for the money. And this is something that the sort of like people like, in fact, if we go to the next one, Business Insider, this sort of, the sort of, inner world of media reporting, this is something they've noticed. And, have you not got the Business Insider one? Yeah, sorry, yeah. So this is fascinating, right? Because this came out in 2020. So before all of this happened, so while Elon Musk was still the golden boy, while he was the Iron Man, the real life Iron Man, and that's how they used to report him. This is fascinating, right? So this Matthew DeBoard, he says, for the past decade, I've tried to figure out what Elon Musk spends his money on. And apart from supporting his large family, I've come to the conclusion that he doesn't blow his money on anything. He has some cool clothes, but that's hardly extravagant. He drives Tesla vehicles. He sent his personal original Roadster into orbit, so goodbye to that museum piece. He tweets a lot, so he probably owns the latest iPhone. I think he plays video games, so an Xbox and a flat screen or two. He travels
Probably
quite a bit.
a limited, a small fleet. of planes.
Yeah. But but he says he travels quite a bit using a business jet, but so do mere millionaires. So, and these are all going to be business expenses that are owned by the companies. So they're not his personal property. So, okay, fine. And so he's like, well, what does he spend all his money on? And Elon himself has said, look, I'm not doing this for the money. Right. This is about doing interesting and grand things. And so he says, perplexing as though this might seem, Musk thinks of money less as a medium of exchange and even less as a store of value. He doesn't even see money as a way to make more money, a standard play of high net worth people. No, he sees money as a means to an end, and he appreciates its function as a financing tool to achieve his grand and futuristic goals and serve the more mundane but immediately impactful effect of creating 40,000 jobs at Tesla and 1,000 at SpaceX. So that's good to know, I think.
That's great to know.
People have been studying Elon Musk's career for over a decade, and we don't know why he does this. And it's like, yeah, but I actually do. I think Elon actually wants to make a better world. As idealistic as that sounds.
If not me, then who? I'm sure but that's how he's thinking.
And the fact that he's not an extravagant spender speaks volumes of the richest man in the world.
A business jet is not what the richest man in the world you would think would be traveling on. He'd be traveling on a souped up 747, something like Air Force One.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which the Google guys travel on.
Absolutely. And it's, got beds and bars and, all the, it's like, home away from home. But Elon's not doing that. So anyway, just to cap off this segment, Elon is indeed playing 5D chess, in my opinion. I think he knows what he's doing. So, he put the Twitter deal on hold because it was like, oh, look at all these bots. Isn't most of Twitter actually bots? And it's like, I don't think most of Twitter is bots.
I don't know either. I'm not sure of his gambit here as far as the bots and the fake accounts. I mean, unless he's trying to, drop the, run down the share price just a little bit until it, his purchase kicks in.
Maybe. But if he's not really that concerned about money, is he doing that? Or is he playing mind games with them? Because what happened following this is that essentially they had said, no, he's committed to this, so he has to do this. But it's put Twitter's, the functionality and the credibility of their platform is now in question as he's in the process of buying it. And so this puts them on the back foot, and now he's the one nipping at them and outflanking them and calling the shots. And they must feel surrounded by Elon Musk wherever they go.
Right.
And so...
Yeah, I mean, I look, immediately after this purchase was announced, we had, everyone covered it. We had a bunch of people on the right who gained followers all of a sudden. The shadow banning kind of ended. Yeah. I've been shadow banned forever.
A bunch of people, not me though, got their accounts restated.
Right. Unfortunately, you'll have to wait for the next round.
Don't worry. Well, when Elon gets it, he's like, we're going to take away the permabans one day.
There you go.
Elon.
Right.
Bring us back from the dead.
But so there was a period where it was fine and open, and then it came back. The censorship came back.
It did.
The shadow banning came back worse than before.
Well, that's when he put it on hold. And suddenly the shadow banning begins again. You think, that's very interesting how all of this happens. But I think Elon is basically... I think he's maneuvering to make them insecure in their position.
Sure. You know what I would like to see before this all ends? I would like to see an actual... heck, let the leftists do it. Take Vice and send Vice in to Twitter HQ.
Oh, yeah.
And say, we're going to make a documentary of what it's like under siege of Elon at Twitter and the developers, they're crying. Something like the Hillary movie that happened when where you see
they're literally crying where she should be accepting the thing.
So the final days of of public Twitter. They should do it, man. Someone should finance it.
I would love to, but I think they've become aware that, hang on, this would be
they're laughing at us.
This would be a massive L. And we would look like pathetic and weak idiots who just got crushed. But anyway, so just to finish this segment off, the deal is still on. People, what's going on? No, the deal is still on because basically Twitter have been demanding the deal still on. And this, as they report here, it's Vijaya Gad has said no. She's told the workers recently that the deal is still moving forward and there's no such thing as the deal being on hold. So again, if there's no such thing as the deal being on hold, this is Elon Musk's, like you say, siege works, surrounding Twitter. This is him playing games with them to make them insecure in their position. And so it is still going on. He's just chewing away at their defenses, which I think is fantastic. Good luck, Elon.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Epoch series that's between Bo and John on Henry VI. And if you want to see what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.